speak for about 30 minutes regarding credential technology and specifically high frequency or smart card credentials. Our focus is the evolving North American paradigm questioning the dated proprietary encryption key model, where the manufacturer owns the encryption key, placing the end user in a relationship disadvantage, and the Mifare Desfire alternatives, reversing this ownership dynamic and the unique advantages available to the end user and Convergent colleagues. So buckle up, let's get started. We're going to keep this crisp and see if we can make this interesting and well worth the time you invest with us today. And if you have any questions during this time, please populate them into the chat screen and we'll address the questions at the end of the presentation. So end user enterprises are rarely deployed with a homogeneous or a single electronics hardware manufacturer. More likely based on decentralized decision-making, legacy hardware installations, acquisitions, etc., end user environments are more often deployed with a mix of hardware manufacturers. And as a result, this mixed deployment scenario continues to drive the need for a single credential configured with an encryption key owned and controlled by the end user that can be shared among aligned hardware manufacturers, enabling credential interoperability across competitive reader and hardware manufacturers. So for this call today, regardless if you're a Convergent customer or Convergent colleague, if credential partnerships are of interest to you, this is the call for you. We're not going to go deep on memory, credential reader authentication, or the AES 128 encryption standard. Instead, we're going to focus on the shifting proprietary encryption key ownership model to this new burgeoning non-proprietary model. And if this resonates and you'd like to dig in a bit deeper, we'd love a follow-up conversation with you. We're interested in your perspective, and we'd like to assess how we are in your consideration when migrating from either magstripe or prox deployments or evaluating credential technology into a new deployment and adoption of our non-proprietary EV2 offering. So who are we and what qualifies us for this dialogue with you? Jeff?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jeff Koziol. I've got over 20 years of industry experience with both Allegion and formerly Ingersoll Rand Security Technologies. My focus is I'm the business development manager, kind of on the mobile credential side, and looking forward to the next 30 minutes together.
Well, thanks, Jeff. Paul Iverson, I'm just shy of 24 years in the industry. I've spent about 8 years on the integration side of the business, 10 years at a competitive card and reader manufacturer, spent time with an access control OEM, and I was recruited into Allegion almost 5 years ago. My experience level spans sales, operations, project management, and I'm actually in my third role at Allegion, having been voluntold into this position about 18 months ago. Fancy title is Credential Solutions Business Leader. I work with a small sales team and as well as work cross-functionally in the organization with respect to support for IT engineering and product management. So considering persons on the call may have a wide range of experience with credential technology or may lead with or have older, less secure credential technology deployed, we're going to be reviewing legacy credentials. We're going to do it very briefly. How they're used and the challenges posed by these technologies. What's interesting though, in our day-to-day selling activities with channel and end users alike is how prevalent these technologies are today and for any or all of the following reasons. One might be they're unaware of the copying or cloning risk posed by these credentials. They may not be aware of the cost-effective options to mitigate this risk and migrate to high frequency. Can't afford or won't budget the upgrade migration, and then really no other way to say it. It's a habit. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So with mag stripes were invented back in the 60s with IBM engineers, producing the first magnetic striped plastic credit card and ID card used by banks, insurance companies, hospitals, and other market applications. In access control, mag stripe credentials allowed centralized databases of users to be built and access privilege assigned within an access control system. At that time, persons swiped their credential through magnetic read heads to interpret the data programmed to the mag stripe. Use over time, however, led to wear and tear degradation to both the mag stripe on the card and to the reader heads, necessitating multiple swipes at the reader and extended transaction times at the door. Mag stripe cloning, multiple swipes, and maintenance costs were the primary drivers to adopt RFID or PROX technology for access control. With PROX, integrated circuit chips and antennas embedded in plastic cards, creating contactless access control credentials was initially applied to the North American access control industry, utilizing the 125 kilohertz frequency. A contactless PROX card reader energized by a low voltage power supply creates a magnetic field around the card reader. When a PROX card is placed in this field, the antenna excites, harvests the data or the format from the chip, transmits the data to the reader, and is then sent on to the access control panel for the grant or deny decision to be made. This contactless innovation addressed an improved user experience at the door, including quicker, consistent read times, and enabling turnkey pre-programmed cards with services enabling the bulk loading of card ID numbers into an access control database and the adoption of common format standards by industry-leading access control OEMs. What was not well known by end users and channel at the time, when the data or format is harvested from the credential, it's transmitted to the reader in what's referred to in the clear and in the open, making it easy to copy or clone as the data or format is being passed to the reader. Inexpensive cloning equipment can be purchased on Amazon. Cloning information is available via the internet, or PROX credentials can be cloned easily via local kiosks and retail outlets. These services offer an ideal demonstration of the inexpensive methods to copy or clone a card, and why it is critical for end users to be aware of and mitigate this risk with a high frequency or smart card technology migration plan. So several advancements occurred in the late 70s and early 80s, accelerating the pace of smart card innovation that included the integration of a microprocessor and memory into smart cards. Early innovators included Motorola, Schlumberger, Zalto, and Gem Plus, who merged in 2006 to become Gemalto, and certainly HID in 2002 with the introduction of iClass. So why high frequency or smart cards? Smart cards enable a more secure transaction between the credential and the reader, specifically designed to mitigate card cloning. It's a two-step process beginning with authentication. A high-frequency reader is powered the same as a PROX reader, creating an RFID field around the reader. Credential is presented into the RFID field. However, prior to the data being harvested from the chip, the credential and the reader must authenticate or verify they can communicate with one another. The credential and reader engage in a series of very quick back and forth transaction, literally occurs in milliseconds, and affirm they can communicate, completing the authentication process. That second step is encryption. Once that credential and reader authenticate, the data is harvested from the chip, encrypted, transmitted to the reader, de-encrypted, and then sent on to the access control panel for the access decision to be granted or denied. High frequency's two-step process mitigates PROX cloning risk by controlling credential and reader communication and encrypting the data transmitted from the credential to the reader, and not simply passing it in the open and clear. The other feature enabled by smart cards is utility, and that's extending the use of the credential well beyond the door and deeper into an end user's enterprise. Microprocessor chips with memory embedded in smart cards enable the ability to write data other than a card format to the chip. This may include employee IDs, student ID numbers, biometric templates, and other applications. Literally, any data that an end user may deem relevant can be written to the memory on a chip, be read by a hardware device, and managed by a software application. Applications include point of sale with an identifier written to the memory associating that user with an account managing transactions ranging from monetary to simple usage calculations. Other applications include biometrics, secure print, logical access control, point of sale, as well as manufacturing uses. Interestingly, the industry and end users are still relatively new to leveraging chip memory to extend credential utility. Adoption, however, is incrementally expanding and will accelerate as Apple and Google accelerate mobile adoption. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. So with the variety of card manufacturers and providers in the market, this is where it's going to start to get good. How does one evaluate the offerings and select a partner with whom to invest? End users today seek open, non-proprietary alternatives to the dated proprietary technology and business model that has long bound the end user to the manufacturer. They may not opt for the non-proprietary model, but what end users demand are solid choices or options, and then make decisions on what is best for their business. And folded into the evaluation criteria is greater ROI on their manufacturer investment, beginning with interoperability, enabled by non-proprietary partnerships, as well as gaining leverage and control in those manufacturer relationships. So as I shared, here's where it gets fun and relevant for Convergent colleagues and Convergent customers alike. Allegion, we're the same as any other credential manufacturer. We make plastic cards too. Our strategic differentiation, though, is our trusted authority investment in the IT infrastructure and processes, enabling the Allegion team to develop, securely store, protect, and transport default and end user custom encryption keys through the manufacturing process and configure them to credentials, card readers, and intelligent wired and wireless locking hardware. This includes our strict adherence to standards in the encryption key and data lifecycle management process and how we protect keys, as well as channel and end user information, enabling us to offer encryption key services, including default and custom encryption keys, as well as card format and custom engineering services. Our trusted authority role includes our strategic alignment with semiconductor chip manufacturer NXP. NXP provides the chips we embed in our credentials and the secure element we embed in our readers, enabling that secure transaction that we just discussed. Our collaborative relationship with NXP enables a non-proprietary Mifare Desfire platform alternative, again, to that data proprietary model, as well as our current Mifare Desfire EV2 offering and our roadmap, which soon is going to include EV3, as well as our NFC and our Apple and Android partnerships. Our trusted authority investment, however, is not limited to what we do. That extends as well to consuming encryption keys developed by others. This may seem counterintuitive. However, interoperability, as mentioned in the opening, reflects end user environments today, again, that are rarely deployed with a single hardware manufacturer. And hardware is not limited to what we do in our industry traditionally, what's traditionally considered at the door. It extends beyond the door to other third-party applications, again, such as card printing, POS, and logical access. So Schlag's custom encryption key service, or what we refer to as SCEKS, includes the development of end user custom encryption keys, and again, the conception of keys developed by others. Allegion, as a team, as a company, as an organization, we advocate the adoption of custom keys by reversing that dated legacy model, creating control and leverage for the manufacturer in their relationship with the end user. The critical distinction and feature with custom keys is the end user assigns key possession rights, not the manufacturer. This may include Allegion alone as a developer of the key. The end user may request a copy of the key be shared with them, or the end user may take sole possession of the key and share with others based on their needs. In that proprietary model, the manufacturer owns the key. The manufacturer will not share the key and will only share the key with third parties determined by the manufacturer. So with EUs owning the key, this creates a performance-based relationship between the manufacturer and the end user. This governs our current portfolio, our technology roadmap, as well as how we service customers when post-installation support is required. Should we fail to meet the technology, business, or service needs of an end user, they are free to disengage and seek others to meet their needs. Proprietary relationships, however, especially as the investment and commitment scales, places the manufacturer in greater control of the relationship, and as time goes on and end users invest deeper into the proprietary ecosystem, disengagement from the relationship becomes prohibitive, considering the investment required to migrate from a proprietary to a non-proprietary credential, reader, and ecosystem deployment. And if any of you have done this, the planning required to minimize disruption to the day-to-day business operations is considerable. So if you're a Convergent customer on the call today, custom keys align with the evolving paradigm, again, and trend toward non-proprietary open architecture relationships, creating control for you in your manufacturer relationships. You should be included in the technology and business roadmap discussions, ensuring your input is considered and your needs are being met. And if not, custom keys create the flexibility to source other manufacturer partnerships to serve your needs. This flexibility is exceptionally limited in proprietary ecosystems. Convergent colleagues on the call today, why would you consider leading with a custom encryption key? Strategic differentiation. When your competitors are all leading with the proprietary key manufacturer, how do you differentiate? Present options, enable informed decisions. Clearly explain the value proposition and resulting benefits by shifting leverage and control to the end user, and put them in a position to evaluate and decide what's best for their business. During the introduction and dialogue, we've been speaking a bit about credential interoperability, or a common credential configured with an encryption key that is owned and controlled by an end user, again, that can be shared across aligned hardware manufacturers. It enables credential interoperability. While the concept is not new, the willingness and cooperation of like-minded manufacturers to support this initiative, serving the needs of end user customers, is transforming from white paper theory into action. It's going on. Allegion is a founding member of the LEAF Consortium, a coalition of NXP aligned manufacturers advocating for and leading with the deployment of end user custom encryption keys. Allegion's trusted authority investment is designed not only to support our custom key service, but also to support LEAF, the consumption of LEAF key sets created for end users, and the configuration of LEAF key sets to Allegion hardware. Allegion's custom key service and LEAF extend interoperability well beyond card readers and door hardware to, again, include ecosystem applications such as point of sale, biometrics, handheld devices, and other partner applications. End users expect greater utility with their high frequency investment. Allegion and the LEAF Consortium seamlessly expand credential utility, enhancing our end user ROI. Let's be very clear though. Allegion's #1 goal is to sell credentials and hardware. Business needs, though, sometimes dictate the end user selects a custom key and credential provided by others. If that decision is made, our #2 goal is to ensure our hardware is configured with the end user key and interoperable with their credential of choice, ensuring the end user customer realizes the benefits of Allegion's card reader, wired and wireless intelligent locking hardware portfolio within their enterprise. And the beauty of this is, and I'm going to turn this over to Jeff in a second here, this non-proprietary model is not limited to plastic credentials. Mobile is included in this long game consideration. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff, who has spent the last few years driving Allegion's mobile initiatives that include Bluetooth, NFC, and our partnerships with Apple and Google. Jeff?
Thank you, Paul. The challenge of businesses in recent years, and certainly going forward in the near future, will be how to mobily engage our customers. And as it pertains to security and door access, this industry segment is certainly not immune to that challenge. The demand for mobile credentials is growing. It'll continue to grow, and certain technologies are starting to lead the pack. For most of you in this session, I would imagine you've heard of BLE mobile credentials. But what about NFC? NFC is short for near field communication credentials. I can share with you that NFC credentials are starting to take the college and university market by storm. NFC mobile credentials offer a more frictionless user experience and are being driven and supported by big technology companies, companies like Apple, companies like Google. With greater than 75% phone market share in the college university student demographic, NFC technology really didn't offer campuses a complete solution until Apple entered this market in the middle of 2018. Since that time, nearly 80 large colleges and universities have begun the mobile movement on their campus. Campuses like the University of Tennessee, the University of Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, MIT, University of Kentucky, and many others. Allegion is directly involved with several of these campuses, but I want to highlight our significant deployment at the University of Tennessee. Greater than 20,000 students now have devices deployed with NFC mobile credentials. And this is the astounding number. Greater than 70% of their campus-wide transactions, not just door access, but spending and financial transactions as well, are now being done mobily. The university credits mobile with allowing them to more efficiently open last September during the second wave of the pandemic. The credentials live in the Apple and Google wallets, not in a third-party app, and present like a card. No app to keep open or doors to select or twisting and turning of phones, just a simple presentation of the phone to the RF field emitted by the reader, just like you would a card. Forget your phone as you walk across campus to the Student Rec Center? No worries. The Apple Watch on your wrist loaded with your secondary NFC credential allows you access into the space. Stay out too late at one of the local watering hole establishments and your battery power is now turned off? No worries. The power reserve on your new iPhone 12 powers up the NFC credential to get you safely into your residence hall and your room for the evening. Readers of all types are available from Allegion and our partner network that supports the mobile experience for all use cases across campus. And Paul spoke to this earlier, not just door access, bookstore, laundry, vending, dining, print station transactions. So in effect, the need for a card goes completely away, aside from those who choose to still use cards or have a flip phone. And for those of you that have made the wise investment in Allegion readers and looking to create a mobile ecosystem, all of our MT and MTB series readers were designed in a future-proof manner that allows the hardware to stay in place on the wall while firmware updates and minor configuration changes provide an easy path for mobile. But not all of you on this call are college and university campuses. Some of you are commercial accounts, and we have exciting news for you on that front. The NFC program, which we launched with Apple and Google, will soon be expanding to the commercial market. The same user experience that has been available for college and universities will soon be available to commercial clients. And the value prop of mobile credentials expands beyond the user experience. Having new employees starting up in the Houston office next Monday? No worries. The NFC technology allows you to virtually deploy a mobile credential to that employee's mobile device. whether it be an iPhone, Apple Watch, or an Android phone. While this initiative is new to the commercial market, this is the same proven, efficient, and user-friendly technology used by hundreds and thousands of students, faculty, and staff in colleges and universities. We are excited to expand this solution to other markets. And so our call to action for Convergent customers on this call is: understand that the mobile market is evolving. Be aware not only what's available today, what's being planned just over the horizon. Allegion's Apple and Android partnerships leverage the mobile device your employee population carries with them every day. We're not simply placing an app plus credential on these devices. This is a strategic development partnership leveraging wallet security and NFC convenience. Be certain the investment you made is predicated on informed choices. Ask your Convergent colleague to schedule a conversation with Paul or myself. We'd love to speak with you. And for the Convergent colleagues on this call, our ask is as follows. Your customers are asking and researching mobile. Reach out to Paul and myself and engage us in direct conversation with your customers. We're the team working with you who will qualify and present mobile options, enabling your customers to make informed mobile decisions.
Thank you, Jeff. If interested, regardless, again, a Convergent colleague or a Convergent customer, you have multiple contact options. Certainly through your Convergent colleague, our inside sales, you've got my address there, you've got Jeff's as well. Again, we'd love to engage in conversation. These are non-commitment oriented. However, they are designed to assess what your long-term plans are for mobile and determine if this may be the right path for you. So, Clay, are there any questions come in?
At this time, Paul, no questions.
All right, so it sounds like we answered all the questions, Jeff.
I appreciate everyone's time this morning.
All right, cool. Hey, everyone who's on the call, thank you for for 30 minutes of your time this morning. Again, if there's any interest in following up on this, please contact your Convergent colleague. We'd love to engage in this discussion with you. Thank you.